Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Budget airline Bonza is tonight in the hands of administrators, just months after touching down on Tasmanian soil. The embattled carrier cancelling all of today's flights, leaving thousands of travellers stranded and hundreds of jobs up in the air. News coming as a shock to passengers.
They're the budget airline which promised to shake up the competition.
It's a very, very proud moment.
Far from the fanfare that greeted Bonza's arrival in Tasmania in November, today the only thing the struggling carrier shook up was passengers' travel plans. Those expected to fly out left stranded, angry, lost and bewildered.
About 5 minutes ago, we just drove 4.5 hours to get here, and then no email, no corresponding message.
It's really problematic for us. It shouldn't be happening with anyone.
Passengers left out in the cold and out of pocket.
Over $1,000 probably.
It's a struggle, a real struggle.
At that moment, all that you need is to be able to talk to someone from the airline to give you that bit of hope.
The discount carrier's entire fleet tonight grounded. The all-Aussie airline in financial strife. Bonza's boss apologising to customers but refusing to admit it's the end, saying it's a temporary suspension and discussions are currently underway regarding the ongoing viability of the business.
Today we've got passengers in the lurch and workers in the firing line yet again because we've got an industry, an aviation industry, which is broken.
The Transport Union says the problem is bigger than Bonza. The entire aviation industry is broken.
What we need in this country is some regulation. We've got a free-for-all.
The federal government stepping in this afternoon, creating a hotline to help stranded passengers.
We've also had asked Bonza not to continue selling tickets right at the moment until they have some certainty about what their process is going forward from here.
The abrupt cancellations clipping the wings of Tasmania's tourism operators.
Quite rightly, it was huge excitement when the Bonza flights were launched. People have taken up the opportunity of that service, and it is disappointing.
Turbulent times ahead, with the airline's flight pattern tonight in the hands of administrators. Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
Inattention may have been at play in the dramatic collision between a truck and train at Westbury, according to initial police investigations. Authorities say it's lucky nobody was injured in the crash last night. Alarmingly, Tasrail says it's seeing more and more close calls.
A frightening scene just before dark. A Tasrail locomotive sits precariously, derailed after ploughing through a semi-trailer.
It was a loud bang. There was loud bang, trucks come off, trailers come off into the other yard, and our trucks hit the power pole here.
Will Fellows watches the train go past every night with his young daughter. The pair saw disaster approaching.
You just knew the truck wasn't slowing down in time.
And you were waving your arms?
Yeah, we tried. We tried to signal them to slow down, but obviously couldn't see us.
The result clearly visible this morning. One half of the truck resting against a power pole, the other a tangled wreckage.
It's definitely a major incident. It's not something that happens frequently.
Miraculously, nobody was injured.
You're talking a matter of feet where impact is with the driver or the truck, and the consequences of that could have been fairly significant.
With operations shut down on the Burnie line, Tasrail and police are frustrated safety warnings around level crossings aren't being heeded. This derailment is the latest and most serious of 44 incidents reported in the year to date.
The property damage part of it aside, it's the risk to people, both our people and the public.
Getting this train back on the rails won't be simple. Its wagons need to be removed and taken back towards Deloraine, while sections of the track undergo major repairs.
There's quite a few moving parts, but we just take it slow and steady.
Tasrail says it'll be at least 24 hours until operations are back on track. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
A man has died in a fire at Tarleton near Latrobe in the state's north. Authorities remaining on the scene late into the night after making the discovery yesterday afternoon. Fire crews had been called to a vegetation blaze on Henslow Street, finding the body of the 77-year-old property owner nearby. Investigations are continuing into the cause of the fire. Bell Bay tugboat operators are being praised for their swift efforts wrangling a ghost ship adrift on the Kanamaluka River Tamer. The 63-metre-long Whyuna breaking free of its mooring and floating crewless with the outgoing tide halfway to Bass Strait.
Motoring along with nobody on board. This is the MV Whyuna shortly after breaking free of its mooring early this morning.
You don't expect ships to just drift past and then run aground in front of you going...
Careering down the Tamar River from Beauty Point to Georgetown with the outgoing tide, reaching speeds just shy of 10 kilometres per hour.
Quite fast, particularly given we're talking about a 63-metre long vessel, unmanned and unpowered and uncontrolled.
Built in the 1950s as a pilot vessel, it then went on to train generations of seafarers at the Australian Maritime College. Later sold to private owners, it's been sitting unattended in Bell Bay since about 2014. That was until 6:30 this morning. The boat's solo voyage sparking a difficult rescue operation.
The tug could sort of get right to the bow of the ship, and they obviously got a line attached and began to tow it back up. And then the second one came around the stern of it and pulled it in close.
The tugboat's work finally done just before midday, with the Whyuna safely secured at the port.
The vessel did run aground out towards Georgetown and then refloated. And then perhaps another 500 or 600 metres further down the river, the towage teams were able to capture the vessel and then tow it back.
The future remains uncertain for this historic vessel, but for the time being at least, it will remain berthed here in Bell Bay until inspections can be carried out on its hull. Tasports had contacted the boat's owner within the last 2 months with concerns about its deteriorating state. Tonight, just glad that nobody or the environment was harmed.
Very fortunate. It was a very, very dangerous occurrence, something we would certainly not like to ever see repeated.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Long-time environmental activist Ali Alisha has been sentenced to 4 months in Risdon Prison after he was found guilty of 2 counts of trespassing in logging coops in the Styx Valley where he was protesting. Members of the Bob Brown Foundation say today's sentencing won't deter his activism.
He's very proud of his actions and he says thank you to the people on the front line who continue to stand up for forests.
Ali Alisha has been in custody since February. He will be due for release on May 19. A further court date for a Tasmanian judge accused of assault and other charges has been set. The hearing for Justice Gregory Geeson is scheduled to begin on July 15. Appearing before the Magistrates Court in Hobart, his lawyer pushing for a later date due to unexamined critical evidence. Justice Geeson refused to answer questions from journalists this morning following his mention. An unsustainable number of patients bed-blocked in ED. That's a claim from doctors about what the Royal Hobart was like today, as the union calls for urgent action ahead of winter when overcrowding is expected to worsen.
Patient flow at the RHH almost at a standstill.
We know today that patients that should have been having open heart surgery and bypass surgery haven't been able to have their surgery because there's no ICU capacity in the Royal Hobart Hospital.
Almost 40 patients were bed blocked in the emergency department, unable to be admitted according to the AMA, pushing future elective surgery wait times further behind.
Patients having their surgery cancelled, patients unfortunately having to travel down from North Estate to have their surgery then delayed or rescheduled for the following day.
Patients unable to move into wards already at capacity with ICU full. Ambulances waiting up to 3 hours to offload patients.
That's obviously an issue that we need to work through and we need to work out what's caused that.
The industry continuing to call on the state government to address overcrowding and ramping.
Well, everything we are doing in our medical system and our health system, including investments of not only infrastructure, more people, nurses and doctors, and more beds. It is all very urgent.
Part of that solution is the recent protocol to offload ambulance patients within 60 minutes. Only 60% of RHH patients were transferred in that time.
Interesting about this current situation is we've been able to see the LGH, the Northwest Regional and the Mersey all get very close to the benchmark.
With fears the backlog could be about to get a whole lot worse.
We're getting fed up with having the same problems every year and it's not even flu season.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Brighton students are being promised more modern learning environments, with construction forging ahead on the region's newest high school.
The thoughtfulness that's gone into the architecture that's gone into this building is quite exceptional, even down to where our principal's office will be.
It's one of 3 schools currently being built statewide. The $74 million project is expected to be completed in time for Term 1 next year. A hospitality and tourism training body has teamed up with a local coffee chain to provide expertise to Tasmania's budding baristas. The one-day course is hoping to bolster Tasmania's workforce and teach necessary skills to those with a passion for coffee.
Sarah is looking for a job in hospitality. She hopes by doing a course in coffee making, it catches the eye of future employers.
I'm hoping that if I have this on my CV, employers will see it and can understand that I do have that knowledge of coffee, and then I can use that to move forward.
A coffee training company has teamed up with popular coffee roaster Velino to put on a one-day course, hoping to teach Tasmania's next generation the art of making coffee.
This is a great opportunity for us to share all of the knowledge and experience that we have in training baristas with a broader audience, and for those that are looking to break into the industry that may otherwise not have had the opportunity.
The training organiser says the course is an investment into the future of the state's hospitality industry, and that there'll always be work for well-trained baristas.
For people to be able to take this course and learn about the basics into how to make coffee, how a machine works, and get their step into the industry is important. And a training like this definitely helps.
It doesn't matter if you work in a cafe or don't have any experience at all. Everyone can benefit from learning the art of making the perfect cup of coffee. A skill that isn't going out of fashion anytime soon. Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
To hockey, and a bit of banter is being given credit for Canterbury's stellar start to the season, remaining undefeated heading into round 5 and sitting top of the ladder. The captain citing a strong bond between teammates for their good fortune.
A bit more kind of light-hearted and jokey around the group, which is good. A bit more banter and kind of getting that kind of camaraderie back, which is really nice.
After making the move from Derwent to Northwest graduates, Beth Dobby has wasted no time making an impact, scoring 6 goals in just 4 games.
We've had fun at training and just been, it's been a great environment and excited to kind of see where we go.
The forward helping lead her team to the top of the leaderboard as they prepare to face the Diamondbacks this weekend.
Good evening. 15 the high today in Hobart, a couple below average. Launceston and Devonport 18. That was the stage top, share with Low Head and St Helens. Burnie 17 and a pretty cold start to proceedings over the north. Elsewhere around the state, cold night as well. It got to 17 degrees in Ouse and also Wynyard, 16 for Friendly Beaches and the Islands. Pretty cold one for Lyowini, -2 overnight to a top of just 6 today. Let's have a look at the cloud around Tasmania, and we did see some cloud over the west and southwest of the state, peeking into the middle parts of central Tasmania as well. Further north, and there's more cloud along the Victorian and Queensland coasts, thunderstorms in the cloud over southeast Queensland and New South Wales, convective cloud active further north. Tomorrow, the high continues to ridge over the south of the country as troughs lie through inland New South Wales, Queensland and southern WA. The winds tomorrow up to 25 knots and mostly from a southerly direction, so nothing to warm us up. Swells at 3.5 metres in western and southern waters. Hobart 17 tomorrow and partly cloudy, 16 the top for Geefston. Bothwell 2 overnight, a top of 14. It'll get colder there later in the week too. Sunny in Launceston, 18 degrees, 16 the top for Devonport. A morning frost for Cressy, a sunny 17 later in the day. Burnie expecting 16 and mostly sunny. Cloudy for Strawn, 15. Partly cloudy on King Island. Curry expecting 16 degrees. 17 for St Helens. Sunny for Swansea. 16, 17 and partly cloudy for Orford. On Thursday, fine and mostly sunny. A shower for the southwest of Tasmania. Patchy frost and morning fog inland on Friday and fine apart from a shower over parts of the east coast. And on Saturday, similar weather as that shower lingers over the east and possibly King Island. Showers developing in Perth tomorrow and 27. A fair bit cooler than that in Adelaide, a sunny 18 in Melbourne, showers increasing over Sydney, 21 the high, and a possible shower in Brisbane. Cloudy in Hobart, 11 right now, 12 in Launceston, clear in Devonport and 11 degrees. Kim, that's it from me. I hope to see you again tomorrow night and I'll give you some work to do. You can tell me how much of a refund I'll be getting from my Bonza bookings I've got for the next 2 months.
Yeah, you're a bit out of pocket. I'll see what I can arrange. Thanks, Murph. That is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone.